Welcome back to the Traders Network. I'm Michael Yorba, your host. Thanks for joining us. We're also streaming to you live at yorbamedia.com and broadcasting to you from the Dallas KFXR 1190 AM Clear Channel studios. All right, as a return appearance, I've got Bill Tsumpes, CEO T3 Motion, on the show with me for the next couple of segments. Ladies and gentlemen, you're in for a rare treat. We're going to get a look on the inside of a CEO of a publicly traded company where we can talk about the inner mechanics, private, public, and what's going on with Bill's company too. Now, let me not forget symbol. T as in Tom, T as in Tom, T as in Tom, M as in Mary. Look that one up. This guy's got something that's, well, I'm pretty impressed with. All right, Bill, welcome back to the show. How have you been?
Fantastic. Thank you very much for having me back today.
All right, my pleasure. You know, I really appreciate the fact that you slowed down a little bit for us so that what we can do is look inside the mind and the mindset of a CEO of a publicly traded company that's gone from private to public. And could you open that up for our listeners so that they can see what really goes on in your life and some of the benefits, you know, the pluses, the minuses, and the problems that you had to deal with by having a private company and then turning it into a public company?
You know, and I have to tell you, that's a big discussion.
Yep.
So, as you know, I came out of private industry for about 40 years, you know, and this was my first experience in a public environment. So I came into T3 Motion, TTTM, 1 year and 1 week ago. When I was put in office by the board, you know, they brought me in because the company had significant operational problems, and they were with manufacturing and finance and all different aspects of running the business. And they had been bringing in high-priced executives that had, you know, experience in the computer industry and you know, all different types of industries. And these guys were coming in, making some pretty big checks, but they had never run a small business. And the business that we had at hand here at T3 was really a small business, although we were public. You know, and sales were about $5 to $6 million a year. You know, we were still a very small business, but yet, you know, with all the responsibilities of being a large, fully reporting NYSE, you know, public company. So when I first got here, you know, the challenges were widespread. So some of the things that you've got to deal with in a public environment, of course, just don't come into play in a private environment. And you don't have auditors. You don't have all the reporting, you know, requirements. You don't have the requirement to file 8Ks of material events for the company. You just don't have the level of scrutiny and oversight that you do. You know, in a private environment, you kind of do things when they need to be done or when you feel like it's the right time to do them. In a public environment, you do them by the rules and you do them when they have to be done, and you have those deadlines. And so, you know, it really has helped me gain a lot of appreciation, you know, for the SEC, for actually the way the markets are run, you know, and the way that the financial community operates here in regards to Wall Street, you know, public companies.
Now, let's talk about there's a lot of extra workload you just brought up. That's the downside of being a publicly traded company. Give me some ideas on where you found the upside to be far and above what you had to work with on a private company.
You know, and there is a lot of upside, and as you mentioned, there's a lot of extra bandwidth and things like that's required. I used to read stories here, whether it was in the Journal or Barron's or anywhere else you hear in the news about a CEO of a public company somewhere, whether it be an HP or an eBay or whatever it may be, or even smaller companies. You know, and you'd read these big salaries, and these guys were making $1 million, $2 million, $5 million a year running a public company. And I used to think, you know, wow, they've got this big company here, and they're making these huge checks, and you got to wonder, you know, do they earn their money? Well, the first thing I'd like to tell you is, having been a guy for 40 years in small manufacturing companies and technology companies, as guys that run public companies do more work than I ever imagined. And they've got the responsibility, you know, for all these different areas that go way beyond, you know, just their skills as a business person or a negotiator or something like that, or an operations person. So, you know, first thing I'd like to do is applaud the guys that run public companies, because it is a lot of work. So, you know, obviously the benefits are you've got much better visibility. So as an example, as a public company, when you go into whether it's an announcement for a new product, or you've got any type of financial reporting or new agreements that you enter into on the company's behalf or things like that, of course, you've got shareholders. And that information, you know, has to be put out in the form of press releases or 8Ks if they're material events, you know, to the market and to the shareholders to let them know the changes that are going on within the company. In a private environment, again, you know, you don't have to do any of that. As a matter of fact, you know, in a private environment, when you do a press release, you know, you hope, you know, and you pray that somebody somewhere is going to pick that darn release up and publish it for you. one of the great benefits of being public is when you put a press release out there, of course, because it affects shareholders all over the country and all over the world, you've got all your financial sites and all your reporting, whether it be Yahoo's or Google's or MarketWatch or any of the other, significant financial resources around the world here and around the globe that really report that information. So you get, great access, in terms of presenting your information to the markets and to prospective clients as well. Some of the other benefits that I find in being public is you really have the ability, because everything that you do, is already audited. You've got financial reports that are reliable. You've got regular reporting and things like that are filed every quarter with your Qs. So, of course, even in terms of your ability to raise capital and to, be considered even for financing, I mean, you've got a much better record there. That's a much more reliable record for financing organizations to be able to look at.
It sounds, I can see that there's, as far as the career path and the path that you're going with your business is definitely the way to go, even though the higher workload is there. You mentioned new products. Let's talk about you and your company now for a second. Technology is big in what you've done, and I'd like to hear if there's any new things on the technology front with T3.
Sure. So T3, when I came into T3, we were an electric stand-up vehicle technology type of manufacturer, and we've had great success. We're distributed in over 30 countries around the world. We've got a product that we pioneered, the three-wheel technology in law enforcement, whether it's the CIA, the Secret Service, or the streets of Dallas are patrolled with our vehicles. So, we've had a great success with that product, and we're looking for new markets. We're constantly growing our international distribution for that product. Matter of fact, we've got large orders out of South Africa right now. As the South African police and the Passenger Rail Association in South Africa are stepping up into agreements with us. We signed an $800,000 order here right at the beginning of the year for the Praza high-speed rail program in South Africa, protecting all their terminals and facilities. And so, we do well in that market, but we're looking to expand our reach into light materials handling, into the handicap markets and things like that, growing the product line. Because, of course, as a public company, one of the downsides of being a public company is you do incur a lot of extra overhead. So while you may run a $5 million company, a private company, and be able to be profitable, when you start factoring in all the costs that it costs the company to be public, with auditors and all the rest of these accounting fees and just reporting fees and exchange fees and listing fees and, all the rest of it, I mean, it gets expensive. So it's tough to make money doing $5 million a year. So we need to grow the company. We need to grow distribution. We need to grow the product line to get us into new markets. So as we're looking to expand what the company does today, I come from 40 years, in the entertainment and in the, automation industry, even in security. So I've got a great background over the last 20 to 25 years building high technology products. Matter of fact, I've got patents today that are licensed by companies like GE Security, Alarm.com on the internet, in use, worldwide. So I've got a big background in wireless and in notification technologies and automation. And I'm trying to find ways right now to grow this company into some of those markets. I'd like to get us involved in a number of security-related fields, specialized fields, working with government and law enforcement, where we've got a significant number of relationships. I mean, having relationships with companies such as, or organizations, agencies such as the Los Angeles Police Department or, the New York Police Department or Dallas Police Department, things like this. We've got a lot of contacts. And I'm looking for ways here to grow our product line that will allow us to take new technology to those agencies, to those government bodies around the world. And I think that we're onto some neat things here. So, we've actually got some developments we're working on in-house, hoping to, find ways to expand that.
That's going to work. Hey, let's do this. Let's take a break now. Go to a commercial break. On the other side of the break, on the next segment, let's see if we can talk about recapitalization, what you're doing internally with the company, aside from just the markets. And also, I really want to hear what's going on with your Texas facility, all right?
Fantastic. Thank you, sir.
You're welcome. We'll be right back with Bill Tsumpes, CEO, T3 Motion, T as in Tom, 3 the number, Motion, MOTION.com, symbol on the company, TTTM. Look it up. These guys are going places. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the Traders Network. I'm Michael Yorba, your host. Thanks for joining us. We're also streaming to you live on YorbaMedia.com and broadcasting to you from the Dallas KFXR 1190 AM Clear Channel Studios. All right, I'm joined on the show now with Bill Tsumpes, CEO T3 Motion, symbol TTTM. And Bill, when we left off, we were talking about getting into the internals of your company. I know you can't tell us everything that's going on the insider trading rules, but give us an insight as to what you've been able to accomplish on the inside of your company and why it's really going to go places.
Thank you, Michael, and great to be here again. When I got here in office, I had my 1-year anniversary about 53 weeks ago, so I've been here for a year and a week. When I got here, the company had been losing anywhere from $500,000 to $750,000 a month in cash, since its inception. Of course, a lot of that money went into product development. It's not cheap to develop electric vehicle technology. So as I came into office again, coming from a small business environment, I looked at what was going on here, and aside from all the associated costs, with being public, I needed to find ways to make the company more efficient and to be able to, make it profitable. I mean, that's what business is all about, right? I mean, business that isn't profitable doesn't make money. What's the point? So, I came in, we were losing $525,000 a month in 2012. I got into office in the end of the first quarter of 2013. When I got here, we were in a position that we were burning, more than $6 million a year. Today, and the company was incurring that debt, by the way. It wasn't just losing the money. It was having to borrow the money to pay that overhead. So what I've done since I've got here in the last year, and we've got our reports coming out here shortly, is I've been able to run the company on only $500,000 of additional debt my first year in office. So I went from losing $525,000 a month to basically losing, in cash, about $500,000 all it took to finance a whole last year's operation. So, we've done a tremendous amount of things here to correct the problems that we had. So when you go back and you look at the company, and I'm sure that you've got very responsible and diligent investors that listen to your show, we have done everything that we can do and more to ensure that T3 has a profitable future going forward. So where we used to have to build 550 vehicles a quarter to be profitable or to break even, today we can actually break even at 120 vehicles a quarter. We've cut our payroll costs by getting rid of all the high-priced executives that we had here. Honestly, they weren't doing a very good job, I might say. Cut our payroll costs by 80%. I mean, our cost of goods. We used to buy a lot of parts overseas, and you think that buying overseas is always the economical way to go. Well, let me tell you, I'm a believer in made in America. I'm an American. I love, the building and running businesses here, in the United States of America, and I'm doing everything I can to ensure that this product, will be 99% made in America. There's a few things you just can't get here. You got to go overseas for. So, we're improving quality. We've taken about 35% out of the cost of building our product here in the last 9 months. So, again, we had BOM costs that were significantly high. We had gross margins that were 19.8% when I came into office. I believe here in the first quarter of 2014, we've doubled those margins or better. I think we're above 40% based on what I can tell from our current operation. So,
bravo.
There's a lot to do.
I was going to say bravo. You know what I like better than made in America? Made in Texas. Tell us about that.
There you go. Made in Texas. So that brings up a great point. So, I love made in Texas as well. As we had talked about before, we've got a facility running there now in Carrollton, Texas, just outside of Dallas. We've got a manufacturing facility there. And actually, we're building vehicles every day down in Dallas. Matter of fact, even some of the orders that are going into South Africa, they're flying out of there even this week out of DFW, into Johannesburg. So, the Texas operations are doing a great job down there. It took us a little while to get that ramped up, but we're expanding the programs that we're running there, and our distribution in Texas is expanding also. I mentioned before we were working on this order for 80 units to the Dallas Police Department. They had 6 on the streets as of about 6 months ago. They're growing that, and we've developed a whole new vehicle in combination with the Dallas police officers. So we had Dallas police officers, and we brought them out here to California and said, listen, why don't you guys come in and help us build and design the next generation of T3 patroller for use by law enforcement worldwide. Give us your feedback after using them on the streets of Dallas for 6 months. Tell us what you like and what you don't like, what we do right and what we can do better. They came out here, we spent time with them, and we developed a new, what we call Elite Series of vehicle. It's got air ride suspension. It's got better power options. It's faster. It's better handling. It's just a really, really advanced type of vehicle, most advanced vehicle in the space anywhere in the world. And we're now selling those vehicles into other cities in Texas. I think we've had 3 other cities here alone in the last 3 months, order vehicles there, out of our dealer in Dallas. We got a great dealer in Arlington, John Wright and Associates. Actually, they are our premier dealer here in the country. So the guys that do the best job for us are headquartered right there outside of Dallas and Arlington.
Wow. Bravo. We're very happy to have you on the show and know that you're an employer of our local economy. You're helping create commerce right here at home, Ground Zero. All right, let's switch gears just a little bit and talk about new markets that you're approaching. You touched on it last segment, but I want you to bring that out and let everybody know where you're going to be as you expand your operations.
Sure. So, again, I believe that our current operations, which are growing significantly internationally, will probably double as my goal here in 2014. So as we've taken all the costs out of the vehicle, out of the vehicle and out of the business, we've got ourselves where we can hit that break-even or profitability number. I had actually personally expected that we were going to get there in the first quarter. I can tell you that second quarter is going to be better than the first. We're not there yet. We've got huge orders looming. They're not solidified yet, but our orders and sales activity levels are probably quadruple what they've ever been in the company's history. So we are continuing to grow our sales team here and grow our efforts. We built the internal marketing department. We've really built the company in a way that we can grow sales, and we're expanding international distribution. We just announced here last quarter new agreements into Southeast Asia. So we're going into the Philippines. We're going into, Vietnam. We're going into Cambodia, into a lot of the Southeast Asian countries. And we actually are having some pretty good results there. All the airports and things like that are beginning to deploy our vehicles over there. So, we're growing international distribution. Then as we look at growing the product line, again, I really have a really strong desire, and I'm working daily on trying to take us into these new high-tech industries surrounding the wireless security and automation systems. So, as you know, everything in the world is going wireless. So whether that be your cell phone, your wireless internet, your wireless laptops, or whatever it is, even the Edison companies these days are reading your utility meters over wireless networks. So the days of being tethered by cords are behind us. With our presence in law enforcement, we've got relationships that give us huge inroads, into government agencies and local governments as well. So, we've got some projects. I'm holding back here. I can't really discuss it, but
right.
We are clearly working on technology that are going to let us expand into new technologies and new markets, things that will complement what we do today and allow us to capitalize on the markets that we're in.
I can start to connect those dots because if you've already mentioned a number of government entities that really are super, super high-tech and been known for super high-tech. And so what I'm doing is I'm connecting the dots here. It tells me that you're able to take some of their latest technology and integrate it into your vehicles as we go forward.
Yeah, I'll give you one project here, and we've had this announced previously that we're working on something. I'm going to give you an example, and
Okay.
This is something that's on the radar here for 2014. I hope here in the first half of the year, if we're lucky, and we can get all the rest of the development done. So, as an example, you go to a local police, you go to a local airport or to a shopping center. We're driving down the street in city streets. You see police cars all over the streets of Dallas or any other major city in the country these days. And law enforcement vehicles are equipped with cameras, and those cameras have what's called LPR technology built into them, license plate readers. So we're working on some new technology regarding automation for the law enforcement community that will allow them to basically take one of our vehicles, at an entrance to a DFW as an example, and be able to screen every single car that goes in or out of that airport, identifying and even looking at NCIC records in the criminal databases for suspects and things like that may be, rather even a terrorist database where they may be entering into the airport area trying to head them off before they ever get to a terminal building. So, that's just one example of types of technology we're working on. Our technology, of course, different than what's in a police car. Our stuff is being designed so that it can be portable. We've got some new, all new methods that I can't really talk about because we haven't got the patent filed on it yet. But, we are going to completely enhance the efforts of law enforcement internationally with the use of our products.
Where can somebody go to get a hands-on with this? Because not only is it law enforcement that these vehicles can be used for, but also I would imagine that there's civilian uses too.
Yeah, there are. And we're in shopping malls and facilities like that, even campuses. You go to Los Angeles, you got campuses like USC has 30 units on the campus program there for their security staff to ride. you go to sometimes hospitals even, or a lot of regional shopping centers all over the country use these vehicles to patrol the parking lots. I mean, we've been working on some, you got a Target. We've got Target has more than 200 of these things installed at 200 different locations around the country in Target retail
That's
centers.
what I wanted to know. There we go.
So, there's a lot of commercial use as well as educational use. We've got that new vehicle, the T3 Vision. T3 Vision is more of what we call a personal transporter. It's designed really for more personal use. We're working on programs that are going to deploy those vehicles into college campuses as part of a college funded tuition program. So maybe when you sign up at your local university, you'll be able to sign up and have your tuition actually include the use of an ESV, one of our Vision vehicles, for use getting back and forth between the dorms, and the different classes. It's a great tool to be used in a campus environment. They're electric. They'll run for a whole week, on a charge just between dorms and the classrooms. There's no parking problems with them, and they're green and efficient, 10 cents a day or less to drive these things around. So there's a lot of markets here where we have application outside of government law enforcement for sure.
Bill, we've got to go, but thank you. It's been a real pleasure having you back on the show. Talk to you soon.
Michael, thanks again. Thank you.
You're welcome. Bill Tsumpes, CEO, T3 Motion, T as in Tom, 3 in the numerical 3, motion.com, symbol TTTM. And special thanks to Monk Media and 1-800-PublicRelations.com for all their PR and media support. We've got Daniel Gorfine, Director of Financial Markets and Legal Counsel for the Milken Institute, up next with our crowdfunding and impact investing correspondent, Vince Molinari. We'll be right back.